What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I'm back. And the last time you guys heard from me, I was pretty down in the dumps about the Washington Wizards because no matter what I do, I will never stop loving this team. And the NBA just threw us a curveball. Was really hoping for like a top 3 pick. Was really hoping for the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft so we could get Cooper Flagg. Not only because I think, he probably is the best player in the draft and will have the best career out of everyone in this draft class. That's not a foregone conclusion, but I think it's likely. But it would just kind of put a little bit more focus on the Washington Wizards because no one pays attention to the Wizards, right? And I watch a lot of ESPN, I watch a lot of sports media, stuff like that. And I want people to talk about the Wizards. Like, I want the team to be interesting. I want people to talk about it. I want to hear other people's opinions about this team. And it's tough because there's like 7 fans of this team left, right? So if you're still a fan of this team, I applaud you. I've had so many people tell me, why are you a Wizards fan? You should be a fan of some other team, right? Be a Knicks fan. You're from the Northeast. Be a Knicks fan. Why not? And I can't do it. So, and of course, tonight during the Knicks game, the Knicks, eliminated the Boston Celtics in Game 6. The Knicks are moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals, the first Eastern Conference Finals appearance that they've had since 2000, right? So, but mind you that while the game was going on, they threw up a graphic because ESPN loves their graphics of the teams with the longest active conference finals droughts. So the Sixers are at 24 seasons. Knicks are at 24 seasons. They obviously broke that. The Hornets are at 35 seasons, and the Washington Wizards are at 46 seasons. The Wizards have not made the conference finals in 46 seasons. Okay, so trust me, I know it hurts. And, when we had the John Wall era, that was exciting. We had a chance to make it to the conference finals a couple of times, and it didn't happen, right? And that era was frankly short-lived because of John Wall's injuries. Bradley Beal wasn't super healthy either. It kind of fell apart, right? It wasn't allowed to be as long as it should have been because guys weren't available, and it happens, and it's sad. And shout out John Wall and shout out Bradley Beal, but John Wall's basically the reason I became a Wizards fan in the first place. So shout out John Wall. But this is truly a message from my heart, because I want all of you Wizards fans out there, I want us to look at the positives, okay? Because there are some positives here, okay? Will Dawkins and Bub Carrington, they spoke to the media after the draft lottery, and they did say, our mindset coming in was we didn't have a pick yet, right? And now we have the 6th pick. So we're going to do our best to make a great selection with that pick. And obviously, that's we were going to get a pick that was, 1 through 6, and we didn't get 1, we didn't get 2, we didn't get 3, we didn't get 4, we didn't get 5, we got 6. So I can understand it's still frustrating, but let's talk about what we can do from here, because even though obviously, right, like when you have a number 1 pick, it's pretty likely that you're gonna pick someone who's at least going to help your team. It's pretty rare you get like an Anthony Bennett or a Kwame Brown. And obviously when, Kwame Brown got drafted, he got drafted by the Wizards. So, maybe we would be the ones to pick the wrong guy, number 1. But I think, but that's all it is. It's you have a greater chance to pick the right guy, right? But Isaiah Thomas, right? Not the OG Isaiah Thomas, but the Isaiah Thomas that, gave the Wizards hell in the playoffs, for the Boston Celtics. That guy was the last pick in the draft. In the 2nd round, he was the 60th overall pick. So you can find players anywhere in the draft, right? And it wasn't like Isaiah Thomas was the obvious pick or whatever. Like, he was 5'9". You know what I mean? Like, you never know what you're going to get, right? And you just have to have faith in that player. You have to develop that player and, really bring them into your organization. I think now with Michael Winger and Will Dawkins, and I like Brian Keefe. I don't know if Brian Keefe is going to stay around as the coach, but we'll see. But I like the team that we have and the culture that seems to be being built, right? I think guys just play with a higher level of energy now. It wasn't really like that last year. We're still not that great, but it was the rookie season for basically our young core. So I think there's good things to look at. I think there's players that we can get at the 6th overall spot. We also have the 18th overall pick. So we have 2 good first round picks, right? You can still get someone very valuable at the 18th overall selection. You can definitely get a very valuable player at the 6th overall selection. But I think you get a guy like Trey Johnson from Texas, who's a scoring machine. You could get a Kasparas Yakuchonis, who's a very good elite level guard who's super athletic. You could get Derek Queen. You could get Kaman Maluak. You could get all these guys at the 6th pick. You might even get like VJ Edgecombe, a guy that's slated to go in the top 3 or 4. He might slide down to 6. You never know, right? So it's not like this is the end of the world, right? And I know it feels like it's collapsing. It feels like it's just our luck because the Wizards just seem to always get the worst outcome. And, it's fine, right? It's going to be fine. I think the thing that people need to focus on is that the bulk of our young core came in last year, right? We have Alex Sarr, who was the number 2 overall pick last year. He was not a finalist for Rookie of the Year, but he did get some votes. And I think towards the end of the season, we really did see his progression. If you're like me and you watched the majority of Wizards games last season, you saw that progression throughout the season. His shooting needs to improve. He needs to have a little bit more energy when it comes to attacking the paint. But he could be a really dangerous player, right? He's got a lot of different skills and a lot of unique skills like ball handling and shooting threes that a lot of guys that are his size don't have, right? And he came in with a pretty decent baseline of those skills, right? He wasn't shooting in the 20s for, 3-point percentage. He was, bringing the ball up the court sometimes. So there's a lot of potential with him. So I wouldn't give up on him just yet, right? I know everyone said last year's class was a weak draft class, but they said that about Giannis's draft class too. And look at Giannis, right? He's one of the best players in the league. So, and that's just Alex Sarr. Bub Carrington, also great season. He finished the season out against the Heat, making a game-winning shot. So we have good players here. Keyshawn George, also a very great player. I love his energy. I think he plays the game extremely hard. He wants to win. He's talking noise to people already. And all these guys are like 20, 21 years old, right? Not to mention AJ Johnson, who we also picked up from the Milwaukee Bucks in the Kyle Kuzma trade. So there is a lot of potential already on this roster. And with the 6th pick, you're only adding to that potential, right? So you have to believe a little bit, right? And I know it's hard because, we've had rough season after rough season. And even before it was like really rough, we were just mediocre. And that's not what you want, right? Won 18-64 this season, won 15-67 last season, 35-47 the season prior, 35-47 the season before that, 34-38 in 2021, right? And that was the shortened season. COVID was still going on. The 2019-20 season, shortened season, 25 wins, right? We haven't had a 40-win season since 2017-18. So I get it. We haven't had a 50-win season I don't even know. I don't think we've had a 50-win season. We haven't had a 50-win season since 1979. So I'm there with you guys. I get it. It's tough. But I can't stop loving this team, like I said. So I'm going to pick my head up. The draft lottery was a tough pill to swallow, especially the fact that the Mavericks and the Spurs got the top 2 picks. That was just, that was frustrating, right? But shout out the Mavericks. I feel for their fan base after trading Luka, so I'm glad that they get to at least get a new star on Cooper Flag and, really feel like their team is special again. And the Spurs, they got some great button over there too. Maybe they'll draft Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey, or maybe they'll trade that pick and the 14th pick for Giannis. Who knows, right? But there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the NBA. The Wizards, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I guarantee you 2-3 years from now, I think what Will Dawkins and Michael Winger are building is going to be something special. And I think we're going to see this team in the playoffs. I think we're going to see this team eventually go deep in the playoffs. But we have to be patient. You know, luck will be in our favor at some point, but we just got to stay patient. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. You know, I was, like I said, depressed earlier this week. I love my Wizards a lot. And it was a tough pill to swallow knowing that we just had a really bad season. And in a stacked draft class with Cooper Flagg at the top of the list, we fell all the way to 6. But I still think we're going to get a great player at 6. I think we're going to get a great player at 18. And next season is going to be an improvement over this past season. I truly do think that. We're going to see a lot of jumps from a lot of our players. The core is going to continue to grow and build. I think the sophomore season for this 2024 batch of rookies on our roster is going to be extraordinary. I think we're going to see a lot of really big jumps from guys. And not to mention, we still have the veterans on our team like Chris Middleton and Jordan Poole and Marcus Smart. So that's all I got, guys. I'm going to catch you later. If you're a Wizards fan, please keep your head up. Let me know what you think about, the draft down in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about next season, our players. Let's talk. But I'm going to catch you later, man. Stay safe, stay up, stay blessed, stay humble, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.